Okay, so welcome in. We're going to do something a little bit different on this particular video. About 3 weeks ago, I did a performance stream in the evening, jamming around, chatting with people. But the key of it was working with the new Fugue Machine Rubato signature device. And if you're not familiar, you can go check out that stream. We made some really interesting music, I thought, using it. But what makes it unique is that it, not only has multiple playheads that scroll through your piano roll. Each playhead can have like a different rate or different pattern, different modifications applied to it. But what makes the Rubato model particularly unique is how you can do really interesting things with how those playheads move through time. I did get a comment on that video. Thank you very much, DW Picks, for checking things out and letting me know what you thought. Said, I can't wait to see someone actually use this thing and explain what it can actually do. And, I don't think you were being particularly rude. It's a fair question. So let's see if we can describe the device a little bit more, go a little bit deeper. I will preface this by saying I don't feel like I am an expert or a virtuoso with this sequencing instrument yet. There are things about it that I don't quite understand, and that's okay. Part of the reason why I like it so much is that you can just sort of play and explore and tweak and see what kind of new things arise out of it. So let's get stuck in. Okay, so just a little bit about what we've got set up here. We have Fugue Machine here, and I have it configured so the first 3 playheads, and you select those down here with the different colors. Those first 3 are set up to transmit to MIDI out 1, and then these second 3 are set to transmit out to MIDI out 2. And in Ableton, we have Arturia's piano on MIDI out 1 and Force's chiral, basically out of the box default settings on 2. So, if something interesting happens, we can start playing around. But that's what we're going to do. We're sending, Fugue Machine does have its own internal sound engine. So if you open it up on an app, you can just start playing. But I have it wired into Ableton, and we're using Ableton's link to keep things synchronized. Okay, so what do we have here? Let's go to our first playhead. Again, each of these at the bottom is a playhead, and we have a number of settings. Up top, we have our piano roll, and as we scroll through these, you'll see that the loop bar changes color. So that means each of these can have their own individual loop links or loop sections, which is a particularly powerful thing for building multiple pieces. You can have different notes in different areas of the piano roll. We might do that a little bit later. But let's just start by putting some notes in, and we'll just get a little simple something going here. And we'll see what happens. Okay. So you see, we've started playing. The red playhead is moving. We're not dividing or multiplying the clock rate, so it's going just as tempo. This is a 1-bar loop. Great. As with the other Fugue Machine, the original Fugue Machine device, the reason why it's a fugue is, and we could have an entire conversation about what fugues are, but let's demonstrate by having 2 playheads. And the second playhead, we'll set it to run at half speed. Okay? So let's start the first one going, and then the second one. Not particularly interesting, sure, but gives you the idea. We're going to stick to just the first playhead because what we want to do is show some of the neat things that it can do. as I mentioned, each of these playheads can have its own rate. You saw that. They can have their own styles. So we've got, different ways for them to move through time. And if we right click on these, we can get some help and we can see all the different ways that we do this. And, if you're familiar with arpeggiators, they might have some of these similar things like converge and diverge and converge and diverge, thumb up, thumb down. So if we select one of these, maybe more, less linear ones, you'll see, let's just set it there, thumb up. Right? So we can get that playhead bouncing around through that loop in all manner of different ways. But where things really get interesting with this device is with the curves around the rates. So if we read the help text here, the curve sets a curve type used by the time functions to curve the progression of time in various ways. And it has ease in, ease out, ease in and out, ease out to in, and then some more function-based curves with different levels and depths, effectively. So let's get an example of what this looks like. So our normal rate is ×1. We're going to set this curve to divide by 4. So hopefully that's deep enough or obvious enough for our experiment here. So let's try it. Pay close attention to the playhead, the line as it scrolls, because it does animate. It'll be subtle at first. I think you're starting to hear it. See how we're just sort of lingering, how it's slowing down towards the end there? Actually, I think it's speeding up towards the end. Let's try another curve. Let's turn the rate a little bit higher so maybe it gets even more pronounced. Yeah, see? Let's come back here to... Right? Makes sense. And then, like I said, we have some more sort of function-based ones, like a sine wave. Triangle. Elastic. Which I guess bounces back. And then a bounce. Square. Which seems to miss our notes entirely. So, applying curves and a rate that those curves do apply through in order to change the way the playhead scans through time, right? And we have 2 of those for every playhead. So let's see what happens if we come to the second one, give it a different curve, and instead of dividing, let's multiply by 8 and just see what happens there. It's definitely been seen that in some cases you're not going to hear the effect. You have to, maybe if we, there we go. That's interesting. We got set to 64 dotted division. So that's the speed at which it's moving through this curve. Then we have the divided by 8 curve. Let's see what happens if we jack this one up to maybe 4. If this one's 8. Great. So, like I said, with these two curves, things can get pretty weird, pretty wild, and pretty interesting. There are some other, there's other modifications that we can do. We'll just talk about that just really quickly. So besides the style and the width at which it applies those styles, you can repeat individual sections. Let's do that. We're on, let's add in 3 repeats. See how it's, we just had a width for that as well. Let's, and that can be, we can set these really high and really strange things can start happening. If we play this against just a straight version, now we've taken that orange one and moved it down an octave. So lots of weird things can start to happen. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. But again, that's part of the fun, is we can just explore. So I mentioned the modulation aspect to this. All of these parameters can be modulated. Those modulations can be put in, and they are unlinked from the tempo of the main playhead, or they have their own tempo that runs in isolation from it. So you can get some very, very interesting things very quickly. So I've made a couple small adjustments. We should be, we'll start here, okay? So let's say we want to change the rate on curve 1, okay? So if we flip to I always click the wrong buttons. If we flip to the automation lane here, we can start putting in some, you see this has its own independent loop length, so we could extend it a little bit. Then when we hit play, it's going to start modulating the rate of this first curve. So let's see what that does. Chaos. Well, not quite chaos, but definitely interesting things. Let's modulate the velocity. As I said, each of these has their own rate as well. So let's come back to this rate. If we click here, we'll see the rate for this particular automation lane or modulation lane. Let's make it slower. It also has its own curves, so we can do similar things with it. I think I might be peeking something there. And you have things like offsets. They have their own styles, so we can do similar thing, converging and diverging through this automation. Repeats, start offsets. So all of those things. So I mentioned that about each one having a different loop length. So we can do interesting things like this, where the yellow one will have these last two notes. Let's put in a couple of different notes for it. There's also a MIDI echo. So let's turn that on. And the MIDI echo has its own curve. So let's automate that curve and see what happens. As I mentioned, I have the first three on the piano, and then we have the chiral device. Let's just set this one low and slow. So when you change any of these parameters, it waits until the next increment to make the adjustment. So you saw how it sort of picked up back to where it should have been if we had already had it on this particular style. Let's do one that is a slightly different style. There's an octave up, 2 repeats, with a width of 2. And we will give it a little bit of curve. So we get all these happy little bouncing playheads moving throughout our simple sequence. So I do not have velocity helping us in terms of amplitude here. And we haven't even gotten to any of the offset parameters. Those can get particularly deep on what each of these does. We could have one of these make chords for us. Maybe let's do that on the green guy. Put some intervals. Always click the wrong buttons. That's ugly. Now the last thing I'm going to show in terms of modulation, let's go ahead and save this pattern because I don't mind it. It's pretty good. I should really start naming my patterns for sure. No, we want to go into the folder. Thank you. I haven't quite. Because it's obviously touch screen first in terms of design philosophy, dealing with it on a Mac sometimes breaks my brain. So one of the other things you can do in terms of modulation, not only can you modulate all of the parameters related to the playheads, you can modulate parameters related to the notes. So if we select a note, we can modulate its X offset horizontally in the grid, the width, so its basic duration, the Y offset, the vertical position in the grid, so we can have it play different notes, play for different times, play at different times, and then we can set a velocity offset for each note. And we can modulate those as well. So let's look at doing some XY, some positional things. So we'll have this note. Let's see. This time I do want to set our upper bounds. I want to go no more than maybe 5 steps up, 5 steps down. We can set 0 here, and then we'll -3, -5, then we'll swoop it up. And then let's make sure that it loops fairly evenly. We'll turn that on and we'll set it to half of the speed. And then let's do some Y automation as well. And same thing, let's do limit our range so we're not clicking around in all sorts of garbage. And set 0, -3, +4, back to 0, And we'll set this to even longer. Now, if we watch this note as we play, you will see some interesting things happen. Let's do it. You see the note sort of that anchor shows us where the note was originally placed. And you see where it's just scooting around on its own. Based on that modulation, we're moving the note forwards and backwards in time and up and down in pitch. So if we take one of our straighter ones and play it against it. Select this note, let's give it just a little bit of Y. Very easy to get into some really unusual musical spaces. I want the orange velocity to not be quite so monotone. Now, obviously, we're in a very different space than we were before. Obviously, easy to get lost, as I just did. Just listening to what the Fugue Machine is doing. There are some things that I don't even fully understand yet. The pitch blend module will be a subject of another exploration, I think. And then there's an individual arpeggiator. Which I think we'll explore those next time. All right. So with that, I'm just going to let this play out for a little bit, and I will come back to you soon with some more explorations around this. I've got some modular jamming to do. For those of you that aren't aware, I just released a new ambient record called Kailash. Did that this past Tuesday, June 17th, I believe. I put that on Bandcamp and Ampwall on Tuesday. It is starting to hit the streaming services already. I have some other albums and singles of various styles currently in work. You might get some of this material on something in the not too distant future. I really like what it does. Yeah, thanks for jumping on with me. Obviously this isn't a live stream, but thanks for watching, I suppose. Like all people on YouTube, it is my apparently moral and legal obligation to let you know that pressing the like and subscribe buttons is very important. That's what they tell me. They tell me that's important. So please do. I do not want the YouTube police to come after me for not reminding you and for you not doing it. So please, by all means, like, subscribe. Join us on Discord. Links in the description. Join us on my Patreon. I'll probably collect some of these and just put them in the Radio Free Arcadia podcast. Might be a good home for some of this sort of material. You can find Radio Free Arcadia here on YouTube. You can find it on any of your popular podcast aggregation services. I know it's on Apple Podcasts. You're basically getting at least 30 to 45, at least 30. Haven't quite hit 45 minutes, but it could. 30 minutes of new music every month. And Patreon patrons get more than that. So if you like what you hear, I appreciate any and all engagement that you provide me, just like any other attention-starved person on the internet. All right. We'll just let this play out in the background for a couple minutes, and I will bid you all farewell for now. See you soon.